Hello, happy bros. Hey, you're about to get a face full of the Ken Bozak. He's a mentor. That's what I heard. He's a connector. Oh, yeah. He's a brilliant leader. I've seen it. He's Ken Bozak. Oh, happy bro. You gotta get some Bitcoin and hold it. Happy bros. You gotta get those NFTs and you gotta hodl that stuff. You gotta hodl it. 'Cause I'm Ken bro. We got your Bitcoin, bro. He's an original. Buy some NFTs and hold them. How many times does he have to tell you? Going to the moon. We're 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 gonna get real high. 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 Yeah, we're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. Bro, we're going to the moon. Oh yeah, we're going to the moon. We're gonna get real high. Real high. Yep. Real high. Hello, happy bros. Come get some Ken Bozak.
And we're live. All right, how goes it, everybody? This is not another Bitcoin podcast, unlike the other Bitcoin podcasts, which there are many, but this is the only one that is not a Bitcoin podcast. We are here with my bros. How goes it, guys? We're here with my co-host, Miggy, the co-host. How goes it?
It's going, man. It's good to be back into the visual digital space. What's up, everybody?
Yep, we're here with our bro Joel. How goes it, bro?
It's going great. I mean, too much stuff to do, but that's just always the way things are. I wouldn't have it any other way as much as I complain.
Yeah, over here trying to get a club started and get some balls rolling, and I have just realized I have so many things cooking that it's starting to make a mess in the kitchen. So yeah, shout out to Bitcoin Ben. You know, you guys, everybody that's watching, if you don't know, now you know. Bitcoin Ben has a crypto club out here in Vegas. He has a bunch of them all over the country, but I'm kind of like, managing and running the one here in Vegas with, the bros. And whoo, boy, it's a lot of work, man. A lot of contractors, remodeling, renovations, just getting outlets installed, stuff like that, dude. Getting a sign up with the city's permission. We have a food truck. We have a food truck and a party bus. A 30-person party bus with 2 stripper poles in it, bro. It's insane.
I know.
Yeah, I got a lot of toys, so I'm just trying hard not to just like be a degenerate with a party bus. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have insurance, we don't have this, we don't have that. So it's like, all right, well, why do I have the keys then? Like, somebody take these keys from me. But it's cool. It's cool. I'm being an adult. I'm not going to drive the party bus without the insurance, and I don't even have a license, so we had to hire a driver. And yeah, but if anybody's watching, if you're in Vegas, check out the club. We're at 160 West Wyoming, right in the middle of the art district, right here, like 1 block from the Strat. So I wanted to jump in and talk to Joel a little bit about the financial privacy and how that equates to freedom. A lot of the times, people don't quite understand how the centralized monetary system is designed to create self-censorship in the form of self-preservation, You could see that during as recent. Dude, oh shit! I used to have to zoom out a lot to get to a point. Now you just have to look back like 4 years and look at any of your favorite like celebrity, politician, content creator. If they were telling you not to get a vaccine during the pandemic and lockdown, odds are their bank account was frozen. I had a lot of people who had payment processing issues for their businesses. Their independent bank accounts were halted. So like just that in general, so close. You know, it's not that far in the member berries basket to see exactly how
I remember.
centralized. Yeah, I remember.
remember.
Centralized money creates self-censorship through self-preservation, where they no longer have to hold a gun to your head. You're holding it to your neighbor's head, and hashtag Me Too, hashtag cancel culture, hashtag whatever the fuck. That's the gun to the head now, and people are self-censoring because they don't want to lose their bank account, or they don't want to be able to not accept, whatever for their small business. So I do want to jump into a little bit of, and let Joel take the floor here and discuss a little bit about the importance of financial privacy and how that does equate to freedom. The floor is yours, my bro.
Yeah. Well, there it does. Good seeing you guys. Good night. Just kidding. But,
Mic drop, mic drop.
No,
Thanks
it
for coming to my
doesn't.
Ken Talk.
no, but I mean, it's a big thing that some people kind of ignore that when, first of all, people just think the normie just thinks your money's yours, you use it, it's fine. Not, I think the normies are starting to sort of figure out a little bit that might not be 100% true. And then when we went to the decentralized money revolution, started with Bitcoin, people were thinking, okay, now there's something that can't really be controlled or censored. You control all this kind of stuff. And all that kind of stuff is true. In theory, I mean, obviously, the reality gets very complicated after that. But for the most part, it's a great thing to take back control over your money. But one thing that even Satoshi didn't quite figure out in the beginning was how to give adequate privacy. And kind of some of his later messages were talking about how do we actually add more privacy to Bitcoin? How do we kind of get that thing improved? And I have to say, the crypto world, as long as I've been in it, obviously, you and I have been using, crypto since forever, just kind of like freely, like however we want it. But at some point, I think that we have been using, it's been so new that just because no one knew how to kind of look at it, we kind of felt like we had privacy. Like I remember way back in the early day.
Right.
I mean, it's true because my first wallet was at blockchain.com, or it used to be called blockchain.info. That was my first wallet back in 2013. And at the time, I remember when HD wallets came out, where you get a new address every time. And that's old technology by now, but I had one Bitcoin address that I just reused for everything in the beginning. And I was just like, because that's just the way the wallet was set up. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm sending this cool, like, cypherpunk, like, with the V for Vendetta mask on, like, no one can stop this. It's like, surveil this thing. And I just, in hindsight, so dumb because I just assumed pseudonymity, like no one would be able to start making these kind of connections. And then I actually got mad when it first started giving me a new address every time, because I'm like, why do we don't want that? I want to use the one that I want, not realizing, oh, okay, there's a big problem. And even today, most people who use crypto just kind of do so in complete ignorance of the kind of giant privacy hole that they have with that. And like, for example, you're very familiar with the Wax blockchain. Made some NFTs on there, did all that kind of stuff. And it was kind of fun playing around with, obviously. Still, you go to someone's username and can see every last thing they've ever done. You go on like the Hive or the Steam blockchain, same thing. Great, you can do lots of cool stuff. I just uploaded something to Hive like, you know, 8 minutes ago, and it's like great, but you can see everything. It's like a giant data scraping like nightmare.
Yeah, and it's part of the standard UI UX. It's not like you have to go out of your way, third-party plugin or extension. It's just the standard operations. It's basically doxing your portfolio.
Yeah, and so that's a lot of people don't know because they don't care, because people think, oh, why do I have to hide anyway? Even some crypto people are just like, yeah, you know what, I file taxes, I'm fine, government's not going to come after me. But there's just like, there is a Jameson Lopp who's a Bitcoin developer, who
I
I'm
love
not a
that bro,
fan of.
bro. I
I'm not
love
a
him.
fan of him for other reasons, but I'm gonna say
See.
this is positive here. He has been doing a running kind of PSA of all the people who have gotten like jacked because of crypto holdings. Like people figure out they got crypto and then they come after with like the scissors after their fingers trying to be like, give us your money. And
Right.
there's so many thefts, so many muggings, so many things like that. It's on the rise right now. Where now, if you run around with like a crypto shirt on, even, and
Yep.
who knows if someone's going to then look into whatever you're doing and see if you're a big enough target to be worth going after. And I think that we're right at this point where things are going to get bad and then everyone's going to use privacy tech and that's going to be like the next 5 years. That's just kind of what I think.
Mm.
I mean, there's probably going to be an event of some kind that happens that will start that give a fuck ball rolling. You know what I mean? It usually is either a false flag event once everybody got their coins in order, or something
Right.
generally will happen that will just start that conversation of that whatever, buying birth control in one state for your kid because you live in a state that doesn't have it, or whatever the case may be, and finding ways to buy penicillin online or whatever the case may be, buying a T-shirt from somebody, having that come back to haunt you in any reason, way, shape, or form. I think people will start to wake up. Also, people that smoke cigarettes who lie to their health insurance. I wouldn't
Yeah.
do that because Visa is definitely going to snitch on your ass, and your health
Yep.
insurance won't have to pay you out if something happens because your transaction history will get you null and void of that contract you've been paying every month into. So, like, I think those types of events have to start happening in the masses. I know recently we're starting to see the conversation around healthcare get pretty loud, unfortunately, due to pretty fucked circumstances. You know what happened, but it got the conversation going. I hope that things don't have to keep coming to those extremes to get the conversations as loud as they need to be for things to happen. But I think that would echo chamber out into what we're doing here in crypto, is like what's happening in the medical industry, and all the way that they're screwing people over. One smart contract away from not having your health insurance fuck you over when you're in the hospital. One smart contract away, and you won't
Yeah.
have to worry.
Yeah, and I definitely a lot of times you kind of think like, oh, I have nothing to hide, or I'm going to prison forever. And there's like, it's not that's not the two options, right? There's
Right.
a lot in between that I think that because people think
Wait, you
I'm
mean it
I
isn't you're either a drug dealer or a drug buyer? It seems to be
well,
my only two options when I
Okay.
talk
Panelist
about crypto.
dose.
Yeah. You mean you're
Yeah.
not a criminal or you're completely legitimate?
Yes, but there's the big spectrum in between. I think the kind of big event that's going to happen is that's already happening is just the mass adoption of AI,
Mm.
because now you basically have like everyone has like a database scraper right there where you can just say analyze the blockchain for any irregularities, any patterns, match things here, match it to this, and just map it versus this person's social media profiles when they talk about I bought a burger at Shake Shack with my Bitcoin, and just map it out to try to figure out their money. And once you got it, then it's like, well, it's not now go shake them down and steal it all. It's like, no, now let's just like figure out, does this guy buy DoorDash too much? Like link his crypto purchases to like DoorDash purchasing things, and then it's like, okay, well, this guy's not healthy. Jack his insurance up, and then you're
Mm.
just like, hey, what else?
Damn.
Like,
Yeah.
Wow.
what do you do with your, just do you buy too much of this? Do you buy too much of that? You travel too much. Oh, carbon emissions, that's not that great. You ding them for that one. And then you just add all this stuff, and eventually you end up in this box. So not the good kind, by the way. You end up in
Well,
the
yeah,
box.
social credit algorithm.
Yes. And
Man.
it's not like he needs the thing about crypto and blockchain, right? Is it's just the way like everything's going digital at some point, right? And the thing is, people are thinking you're about a social credit score, like someone's going to assign you a thing or force you into a thing, and it's not even that at all. It's just their tech is going to put you there regardless. They don't need to build a system that's like, oh my gosh, this is a social credit. They just scrape data, and now everyone has that data available. Everyone's going to start doing different things and just be like, okay, look, you spend too much on this. You don't qualify for food stamps because, I mean, like the way you spend on this, or you donated to dissidents, or you donated to whatever, or you eventually you get like different scores, and it's not always going to be a government score. In fact, that's just kind of the government score type thing is the final boss. It's not, there's so much before that where now it's like someone's going to look on your dating profile, and someone on Tinder is going to like look you up and be like, has this guy ever bought anything, any Andrew Tate merch? And it's like,
Ah,
oh,
you
you
got
did?
Andrew
Right.
Tate
Oh,
shitcoins
no.
in your wallet. You're not
Swipe,
getting laid.
Yeah.
swipe left, swipe left.
What was it,
Just
Daddy? Was that the token or something?
Yeah, daddy. That's so
yes.
funny.
So it's literally going
Yeah.
to be things like that, or just look at, what did you, what did you eat? Like, what's your diet? And then there's some, oh, you're not vegan enough, or you are vegan. Someone wants to come at you for that, or like, there's just always going to be something in there that like they're going to
Yeah,
find out how
it
much
makes your
money you
carbon
have.
footprint, bro.
Yeah,
Oof.
and the thing is, it doesn't have to be like on the global scale. It's just everyone you go, there's going to be like the sustainable, nice coffee shop that's going to find out, you know, run all your numbers and be like, oh, if you are a one of them rich people, you paid twice as much for a latte just so we can
Oh
subsidize the
yeah.
rest.
Oh,
And
dude,
then
imagine if
just
your employer got mad because you shop at the competitor too often. Like
Right.
you work at Burger King but you eat McDonald's. Like, oh,
Oh,
that
dang.
that could definitely
Docs
get
your
out.
yeah.
pay, docs your schedule, take off a shift or two.
Oh, for
Yeah, you
sure,
get a
I can see that.
performance bonus. Well, not even
Oh,
like
yeah.
that, but like you're up for a bonus, and it's like, have you ever done any of this? And it's like, oh no, well, you bought it, went to Burger King. You have to log it. Be like, look, I'm doing like opposition research here and have it approved if you want to go to Burger King, because
Yeah.
otherwise, you're getting docked for that, or just your other habits. Like, do you drive a Tesla if you work at Tesla? I mean, maybe you do, but maybe you have one and you just drive the other car because you don't like that
Right.
that much. And then, oh, maybe you don't get that next promotion because of this. And just all that data is going to be just there where people can map everyone out, their entire lives through their financial purchases, and which is money is like the only honest language because
Mm.
you don't really lie with it. You don't lie about what you value or not. You just buy it. And so, where you can lie online about, oh, I think this, I think that, but whatever you buy is what you value. They have this honest mapping of everything that you have. And then you can just start losing power in every negotiation of anything in life. And then you're kind of screwed. So, yeah.
Well, you wouldn't even lose the argument. You would be self-censoring yourself for self-preservation reasons to not even engage with that argument. You would just have to eventually be going with the flow, especially with people that get beat down financially for doing things not even just like illegal, just like not right or not the exact, T crossed or I dotted. Like, look where Roger Ver is. He literally went out of his way to do the right thing, pay his taxes, forgot to cross a T or dot an I, and now he's in this, perpetual nightmare of a feedback loop. It's like Groundhog's Day for like I might go to jail tomorrow. That sucks, and I don't know.
Right.
When I talk to people about financial freedom, I do like to try and correlate it to freedom of speech, and I wonder what your thoughts are on having freedom of speech and financial privacy being linked together with a quality of life.
Yeah, for sure. I think it is 100%. And kind of in my own life, like the older I've gotten, it's the more independent like my work and stuff has gotten. Like the more like stuff I'm like monetized on X. I got some other sponsorship for my podcast. I got things like this. I got a job here. I got like other stuff going on, and it's more based around me not working for someone else. And the more that's happened, and the more I've seen consequences of my own actions and things, the more I've been comfortable being myself, like saying what I want to do. This is my opinion. I say it. If you don't like it, go fuck yourself. I don't care. And the more, so that's by tasting more of that freedom, I can understand the opposite. And like I have had, friends who, like for example, work for a political organization. It endorses a candidate they personally hate, but then they have to like sort of lie through their teeth that they don't hate it, and just like live this lie until the election season's over. And then this one friend of mine just sort of like rage quit all over X because he just couldn't take it anymore, and it caused like a certain amount of like career damage for him because he just could not be like doing that anymore. And so like the more, if you have free speech, you become a lot more authentic. So if you have like a big room, right, you can flail around as much as you want. The smaller that room gets, the more you bump an elbow, hit your head or whatever, and then the smaller your movements have to be, and eventually just really careful, not just to your limitations of where you're at, but way past that because you don't even want to risk it. So you get less and less free, less and less fulfilled. The less you can talk about, you become much. You're not really a unique person anymore at that point if you don't think you can express yourself freely. And of course that includes money, but also
Right.
like data and speech. And I think that that's like a really poor way to sort of live your life that a lot of people are really going to find themselves in.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
seriously,
and
it's almost like the. Sorry to cut you off, Biggie, real quick though. It's
No,
almost
you're
like the fleas in the jar. You know,
Yeah.
once they're in the jar, they hit their head on the lid. That's
Right,
their
they only jump so
limitations.
high.
Their next generation of offspring only jump that high. Even though they physically can jump higher, once you take the lid off that jar, the fleas refuse to jump any higher than they used to, even for multiple generations, until eventually there is a generation that realizes there is no lid anymore, right? And I think that we're kind of at that point in time in history where we're realizing there is no lid. We are the generation that's going to be able to jump higher than the previous generations. Now that we have realized literally there's nothing above our heads to stop us. We have always had it in us to achieve that anyway. And yeah, I just think that's this generation, if not us, maybe the generation right under ours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there is and isn't a lid. That's the thing.
Right. That's
Is
yeah.
the real like the lid, the hard lid, as it were, is gone. But there's this insidious other lid, where like anyone ever? I mean, probably the answer is yes. But anyone know like an old uncle or grandpa or someone, especially a blue collar one, who just gets like canceled to like hell and back again on Facebook for saying some ridiculously offensive things you just can't say anymore, especially about different, groups and things like grandpa going off. That's because back in the day, you showed up at work at your construction site, did whatever, and then you just said whatever with the boys out back, and then it was all fine. But like now you can't. Now that gets out, and now you got to be. Ooh, I can't say those things anymore. Otherwise, my life is going to be ruined.
Comforting when Trump said grab her by the pussy and still won. That was like, all right, at least we can kind of still say whatever. Like, yeah, but you're right.
Yeah, but he's the exception. Like you have to be. Do you have to be that guy just to be able to just say
That's
what you
true.
say with the
That's
boys, kind of thing? I'm not saying like you should be talking like this, but if that is your authentic self, you should be able to be that way and kind of suffer those consequences of just being yourself and not necessarily like the whole world can just use that and like jump on you. And it creates an interesting world. I think we're actually seeing that Gen Z and below tends to be a little bit more cautious with what they say because there's so much coding in the language. There's so much like sarcasm and things like that that in the communication and the expressions and everything that it's just like what do you in the brand of humor too and everything. It's so abstract. It's like Soviets speaking in code, so the KGB won't come visit them. We're already starting to see that a little bit, and like, there's being completely offline. Like where there's not going to be a video that comes out at it. There's not going to be an audio recording that comes out. You just know that no one is screenshotting, and there's something that like a lot of cool stuff comes out of that. A lot of sketchy things too. Let's be honest, right?
Right.
But like, think about any of our parents, grandparents who grew up like in the 80s or 70s and did some wild stuff. Like no one who's not a celebrity does wild things anymore. Like no one's like dad. Like what kind of a lame ass millennial do you think is going to do the kinds of stuff that like 80s hair metal band concert goers did back in the day? Nothing. It's like that amount of like wildness and freeness is just kind of not there, not because the cultural attitudes have changed, but because people are aware that everything's watching them.
Oh,
That someone's going to
documentation.
rat them out.
Everything's been documented. You know, it's the observer effect, and right now with digital observer, the almighty, omnipotent eye that is the digital eye of the Black Mirror. It's viewer being affected by the observer, and object being affected by the viewer. But anyway, yeah, that's us. We're acting differently because we're constantly being watched. We're
And
just
what's
like
crazy
particles.
is that we've been, I mean, the camera side, like on our end, we never really had, more access to cameras as like the public, but because we've always been watched, in a sense. There's always been cameras, there's always been, uh, you walk into a store, you're constantly being watched everywhere you go, traffic lights, or traffic cameras, stuff like that. But now we're getting to an age where now the public has access to these cameras. We have them, very literally on our phones, 24/7 all the time. So I think, yeah, it's I feel like we're finally realizing that we've been being watched, but now it's like we have the power to watch other people, and it's kind of, I don't know, not it hasn't really evened things out, but I'm still 50-50 with this because I kind of like feel what you're saying about it kind of changes the dynamic of how people act and what they say, and it kind of creates like a false sense of self to where you have to kind of bite your tongue, in a conversation where you might have just been openly able to say whatever without having to fear
Like,
of
for
any like
example, if I were to
racism.
say, like, that Bucky shirt's pretty gay. Probably shouldn't say that, because I
Yeah,
could get
yeah,
canceled for that.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. And be like, you know what? I'm gonna go to my local person and be like, hey man, this influencer Ken, he said the big G word, and I
Yeah,
took
get them off
offense.
the
Yeah.
internet. Yeah, delete,
Yeah, and
scrub
here's
them
the
off the
clip.
internet.
Here's the clip.
Here's the.
Yeah, and
And
it's
it,
not just like that, always that direct either. It's just like if you say that, then if it's out there and like no one cares until someone is pissed off at you,
right,
and then they go like, hit up the
go digging.
archives, and they're like, oh, you said this one time,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then
Yeah,
and then that's when it comes out, and he says it, and it's just like people are like, so what? He said worse stuff. I don't care, but there might be some friends who, for example, you might have some gay friends who some might be a little bit more sensitive about that. You wouldn't say that in front of them because you don't want to, you want to be nice to them in front of them. But now everything you say is always in front of them, and it
Right.
just kind of
mm,
That is
makes it a little
so
weird.
true.
Just makes it
yeah.
weird with them, and it's just like, oh man, like now I can't. I didn't want someone else to feel weird about me
I
like this,
totally
and
get that.
it
Yeah.
That
comes
happens
out.
in
It's
crypto a lot too, man. Telling people to get into the space, and kind of the way it comes off is very similar.
Right.
mhm.
And I feel like this is going to also play into our money system as well. Kind of like where you're talking about how now we have to watch what we say, we have to watch what we do, what we act because of videos, and kind of to the previous conversation where like now we have to watch what we spend, what we buy, because, I mean, as much as I love the transparency of blockchain and crypto, how we were talking earlier, there are going to be instances where the things you buy, you might go to, a sex toy store and get something that's very private, you know what I mean? And like that has nothing to do with anybody else but your own, consumption of what you like. But then, maybe your job's looking and that transaction happened to be on the
Oh, that
blockchain.
gets leaked. That stuff gets leaked. I
Yeah,
mean, Visa, MasterCard,
yep.
American Express, all the transaction history has
Hmm.
been leaked. I mean, if you're a customer of Home Depot, Walmart, Ashley Madison, I mean, all those websites got leaked, and it's
Yeah.
all linked to credit cards, addresses, names, and phone numbers, and it
Hmm.
ruined lives. People took their own
Oh,
lives, marriages
absolutely.
were destroyed.
And now it's public domain, in a sense where these
Mhm.
blockchains are very public to where it's not even the companies, the police who are going to be able to expose this financial information.
Or
It
even
might be,
hackers.
yeah, it
Oh
might be
God,
somebody who just
blackmailing
knows how
would
to
be
read
the
a
worst with
blockchain.
that, man. It's like I have all the shit you ever bought and all the receipts. If you don't want the world to know, hey, it's like, damn, like, wow.
Yeah, but like it's not just like if you have like a supervillain or like a hacker or like someone who's holding your family hostage. Not that,
Right.
like it's just a low level dude. There's that one
Hmm.
dude who doesn't like the coin you're promoting, and then he just like scrapes through everything because he has nothing better to do because he's
Right.
mentally unwell,
So, like,
and he
what's the
just
solution to this, though? We've been talking shit
well,
on it for a half hour, and it's like, what the hell do we do for
yeah,
people to what solutions and options, alternatives are there than using all these completely overly transparent blockchain technologies? I like to say overly
yeah.
transparent because, again,
Right.
some things just don't need to be so transparent. you
Right.
know?
Mhm.
Absolutely.
So, like, where do people even start? Like, what are the alternatives? What are our options? Is this just like another, we just got to wait till
Mhm.
another Satoshi comes along, or what?
Well, just on the big picture of that, um, the only way out is through. The only way, like, you can't put Pandora's box back together, right? It's just done. It's blown out forever. You got, like, you're going to have these tools. You're going to have this surveillance. You're going to have, it's out there. You got to deal with how it is. So, uh, first of all, when you're transacting, you need to find out how to use financial privacy tech of some kind. So let's just say you use a cryptocurrency that has privacy features. There's plenty of them that do. You use it, you use like a VPN, do basic IP blocking. You make sure you run like, Linux or Brave. That's one of the best things that's happened recently is the Brave browser has become like huge,
Oh yeah.
where
That's
it's
what
not
we're on right now, guys. Just so you know,
perfect.
I'm
Love my
watching.
Brave.
We're on
Yes.
Brave.
Yep, same here. And the thing is, it's not just like a nerd thing anymore, like Tor. Like the average person's never going to use Tor, probably, but everyone uses Brave, right? You get these tools like everyone uses Signal. Not everyone, but lots of people use it. And so you get more people on this kind of tech. You yourself use it, and then you at least cut out that piece. Like
Mm.
maybe people will still be able to hack your KYC records, and they know, oh, you bought this much off of Coinbase and you paid this much of a bill off with Spritz or whatever for your mortgage. This is how much you pay for your mortgage. Or okay, maybe they get that, but you're like everyday little purchases who you sent to this guy, that guy. That's all going to be like you need the CIA coming after you to figure out what you're spending on, which is then you have
Right.
different problems. But you don't want that amateur loser from down the street who just
Right.
doesn't like your face or doesn't like your political affiliation or whatever, who just wants to cause. You don't want him to know. And I think as we get better, we're going to get as the tech gets better and more usable. I think we're going to be able to be a lot more selective in what we disclose because it's not just like hide everything. It's like well, no, I mean I shit post on X all day long and I get paid for it. Like oh my god, like, I'm not gonna stop. I'm not gonna stop. I want everyone to see it, right? I want no privacy on that. And then my DMs, I kind of want some privacy on that. And then there's certain things like even some of the bigger, like more regulated entities like PayPal and Circle, both are building in a confidential transactions framework for their stable coins, which means that everyone could see that I sent Ken some money, but they couldn't see how much I sent him. It just hides the amounts. It's like, well, you know what? If they bust that we're transacting, that's fine, but they use confidential transactions to hide the actual amount, and then everyone will be able to use this and not really feel scared. So I know that like the Monero Bros are gonna be pissed off at me for saying it like
Mhm.
this, but it's not privacy is not like a binary. It's
Right.
a wide spectrum of choices, and of course, the more you
Yes.
disclose, the easier it is to piece together a big picture. So be careful with that. But sometimes you want things transparent. Like if you're
Right.
raising money for to the neighborhood like trash cleanup thing, you kind of don't want people on your ass saying you stealing that money, bro. You kind of just want a public address just so they leave you alone. Just say like,
Yeah.
look, it's all here. This is how much we raised. Stop asking me. Just go to the blockchain and look at it. But then it's time to go to straponzarrust.com, and then you kind of need something pretty encrypted for that because someone will give you grief.
Or at
Yeah,
least
and
the
that
algorithm will give you grief. You got some weird ads.
Yes.
yeah, and that was one narrative that I'm glad is changing because kind of like what you said, like and not I appreciate the Monero community and all the people that I've met through there. But when I first got introduced, to the whole idea of like privacy coins, privacy chains, and stuff like that, I felt that in the beginning it was a little bit extreme. The need for like, hey, we need this to be private, we need everything to be private. When I think the original idea for the privacy was for areas where it was like, hey, this privacy matters because people, your life may be at stake, your home, the government might actually come and oppress you because their lack of privacy. And so to kind of come where the community is like, hey, you know what, everything is be private, our transactions, like fuck the government, we don't need them looking at our monies. Which again, I agree, but as you said, there tends to be some things that shouldn't be private, should be a little bit public.
Yeah.
And so I think you were right as you hit on the head. Like it's a per case situation, and the need for privacy with crypto, is kind of like, on our end, on the west side, we just do it because we want it, not necessarily because we need it. But in other ends of the world, they do it because they in fact need it, not because they want it, but because again, it could help their very lives,
Yeah.
separation from the government, stuff
I,
like
I
that.
got
And
a
so,
story about that too. which I'll have to be careful exactly what details I disclose because I don't want to out my homie. But there's a friend of mine who I've had for a very long time who is kind of a ghost. Like he doesn't use a real name. He doesn't have like a bank account. He has whatever because he literally had cartels trying to murder him a few different times, and he had to move a few different countries. And when he communicated with some people in his former life a little carelessly, then people found him and were literally chasing him down the streets. And he had to go
Wow.
disappear again and just leave all his shit behind and start from zero again, disappear because it's not even like we can't without disclosing too much. It's not even like this is a person who could expect to deal this kind of life. It's not like this is a dealer or a someone who's actually involved with it. It's just a lot of wrong place, wrong time, happened to say something to the wrong person, and now it's just like you've got to be super careful that if you message your like let's just say you message your mom on Facebook and say, hey, just so you know, I'm still okay. Oh, where are you? And you tell her, then she tells the aunt who then happens to talk to someone, and then it's just all done.
Yeah.
You're just done. Now you have assassins, literal assassins after you. So
Right.
it can get really nasty, and not again, not because you're I don't think a lot of like, let's just say political dissidents or human rights activists or whatever. I think like only like a third of them actually like thought that that's what they are. Like I think a lot of
Right.
people found out the hard way. A lot of people are just like, I'm a regular dude. Oh wait, I'm not. People are trying to kill me. It just and then that's how they learn. And it always helps to have some tools of you know not knowing how that to make sure that doesn't happen to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's great, to see more of it coming out in the crypto space, at least, as the last decade changes. And so I guess I want to ask, to kind of chill a little bit of Dash, like
Hmm.
you mentioned, we have, things like Monero and other privacy chains, but what about Dash, kind of separates that community from, these others? Like that way you can
Yeah.
kind of tell us a little bit about it.
So this is where it so Dash has been around for like 11 plus years, right? First feature was a privacy feature, and that feature is still there and it's still been worked on all the time, but we're working on a big overhaul to kind of bring it up to the standards of everything that's kind of more cutting edge these days. It's a constant cycle. And I guess where it's kind of interesting because we're at the point where most crypto doesn't really have anything dedicated to privacy, and those that do are really like niche use cases. Like,
Right.
Monero has a pretty decent following in the like libertarian kind of world and like usage for stuff like that, but also of course the darknet stuff. Zcash is like space age privacy tech, but in very limited use today. I mean, they're working hard at fixing
Right.
that, but like a tiny niche here. And like Dash has always been in the more mass adoption kind of vibe. And same thing with Litecoin too. I have to give a shout out to Litecoin because not only have they done better at payments than almost any other crypto, but they added the MWeb, the Mimblewimble
Mm,
extension block, a couple years ago, which is a really, it's not bad privacy, and it's like a really convenient kind of thing to use, and that usage
And
is
it sounds
going
like a
up.
Harry Potter magic spell. Mimble wimble.
Yes, which is exactly all the good stuff. So I think that where things stand is we're going to see privacy tech become a lot more mainstream. And so it's like no crypto does everything. Everything does the most it can in one area and then has to like play catch up in another one. And so where I'm especially me, I'm pushing very hard for a series of improvements to the Dash protocol that would make it kind of swing back into the privacy side now that we got the usability side really kind of nailed down. And on the whole, it's like as I mentioned with the different categories of privacy, like obviously I prefer like space age type stuff, but I am kind of seeing as I mentioned with like Circle and PayPal and stuff, there seems to be a bare minimum, what I call MVP or minimum viable privacy, where you should be able to at least keep your coffee purchases from the general public. Like now, is the IRS going to figure it out? Maybe, is the if you're James Bond on the run, is like, Mossad going to figure it out? Well, that's a different story. But like just the basic stuff of like some dude, some barista sees your transaction and then goes home and plugs it into whatever free LLM and just says, "Can you find this guy's money?" And if it says no, that's like you're good. That's the minimum. And I think that we're all gonna have to kind of be brought up to that level in the near future.
Yeah,
Oh,
no, I
definitely.
couldn't agree more, man. It's getting creepy actually when you think about it. Not just like I used to be so excited for the future, and now that it's kind of creeping up closer and closer, it's like, oh, the excitement's kind of wearing off, and like shit's getting real. Is kind of coming
Right.
to it's starting to feel real, and then all the problems that need to be addressed. It's shit hit fan momentum. There's no other way to kind of get through this. We
Right.
we kind of have to have things break at this point right now for us to fix anything. There's no more patching this boat. It's got to go.
Yeah,
Right.
and I get that, and it's kind of I feel two ways about it, right? Because on the one hand, shit's getting real, and that means it makes it less fun because
Right.
when the stakes are so low, anything is possible. You do anything. You don't worry about consequences. It's just like free speech, right? You just do whatever you want. You don't have to worry about the consequences of what you say. And that's it just like that was when crypto was fun, right? The 2009 to like let's just say 2017 era, especially like that, the glory days of just anything goes. So much fun. On the other hand, the way we are today, where everything is starting to grow up, everything's becoming serious. There's no loopholes anymore. There's no, or it's like you can't just be lackadaisical about something. You have to make sure everything really works. You can't just do like a random pump. Like if you do a random like,
Oh, there's been martyrs. That's what you're describing. We've witnessed
but
Yeah.
martyrs, bro.
or you like let's just not go. Let's split the difference and go with Haktua, right?
Oh.
What she did is just like how many hundreds of people did that on a tinier scale all over the years and no one knows their name. But
Right.
like now you can't do that anymore. You can't just rug a bunch of let's be honest, not the brightest people who like bought the spit on the thing coin and somehow thought that they were going to be it was a sound financial investment. Like they kind of knew what they were doing, in my opinion, or shouldn't be allowed to have money anyway if they're that dumb. But you just can't do that anymore. It's
Yeah.
just like it's too adult for that.
Well, we have financial
I
Darwinism, which is nice. I mean, it's the harder it is for dumb people to have a lot of money, better. I'm happy for that. We need smart people to have money, so they do smart
Right.
shit with it. So we don't have potholes and shit. We do have people
Yeah.
hoarding money. Smart people that hoard money, it is dumb, right? Like, and with crypto and the way things are, I think that we just, yeah, financial Darwinism was always needed. We had too many dumb fucking kings and dumb queens with so much money that like the nepotism that trickled out of those fucking faucets led to why you don't like taking a specific road to work. Why? Because
Right.
nepotism got that road built. You know what I mean? Like, and that's all financial like shit. Like once we can figure out like how to kind of stop that, and I like that we have these fail safes in society now with crypto. Like I'm not saying I'm happy we have scams or people get scammed, but I am happy even when it happens. You're getting smarter. You're not a permanent victim. You get smarter.
Right.
You learn what happened, and it does not happen to you again. Most people don't get hocked to a coin twice.
yeah,
Yeah.
I do know some people who have like 3 times, but it's not me.
Yeah.
Jeez,
It's just because they
why?
get greedy. And no, I know. Yeah, I know plenty of people like that. This girl, I mean, these people were making this post the other day and like, oh, I've lost this much in assets and all, but I'm still real. I'm like, dude, I've been in this for over a decade and I probably lost like $500. You know what I mean? I got screwed over one time, 2 times, and like that was it. You know what I mean? Like I'm not
You
even
learned your
gonna lose
lesson.
money. Yeah,
500
like, come
bucks. I
on.
don't care what anyone says. $500 is a lot of money.
Yeah,
Well, that's
that
like the
is,
whole
you know what I
Bitcoin
mean?
when
It happened
you
one
lost it.
time, and that's it. You know what I mean? I got scammed and never happened again. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
what's
It
wrong
was
with you?
funny on this space I hosted last Thursday. I kind of opened up the space with an AI song. It was like a parody of the Circle of Life, but it was the Circle of Exit Liquidity. It's still like one of my favorite songs, and it's an AI song that I had made because it's just the the Circle of Exit Liquidity. You know,
Can you
you gotta.
send me that?
the-
I'd play that.
Yes,
Yeah.
I will.
that's
I
good, yeah.
absolutely will. I mean,
I want a shirt
obviously,
that
I,
just says exit liquidity.
yes,
That's good.
it's a good one. I'm opening up the tab just so I have it here for you.
That's funny.
I'll just DM it. Can I just DM it to you right now so I
Yeah,
don't forget?
for
There
sure.
we go. You
Thank
got
you.
it. It's
I
like
didn't
a
know if
looping
Miggy,
animation.
I don't know if Miggy wanted to jump in on it, but I wanted to jump in on like privacy
Mm-hmm.
tokens. Did you want to go on that, Miggy, or should I?
You can start it off. I'm, a little. My knowledge is minimal, so I'll let you kick it off so I can follow
Yeah.
you.
Now, I was just wondering, like, what your thoughts are on privacy tokens. You know, we have privacy coins, but not a lot of
Privacy
people,
yourself.
when they're creating their own token, like the Haktua, that's on a pretty overly transparent blockchain, right? Now, maybe you could do something like Haktua did without being somebody that can't go out to eat, or I'm saying I want to like make rugging safe, but what if it was successful and she never did rug? Either way, you still can't go out to a restaurant without like bodyguards, right? Or having a problem, maybe. So, like, what are your thoughts on using technologies like Dash to have your own sub token, which isn't a coin, it's a token on that blockchain's technology, to have these private tokens? Because everybody talks about private. We've been talking about private coins for almost a decade, you and me, bro. Like, it's crazy, but nobody's been talking about private tokens. Things that like mom and pop shops are going to make their token for their pizza store, or the paper boy who wants to create his own token for his paper route just for fun. That is going to get them in a position of like, if they are the first successful paper boy token, that could be dangerous for that child. And I think the kids experimenting with this, that's the situations that are going to occur more likely than less likely. Is like, little Alex's lemonade stand, the kid that had cancer, and now we have lemonade in like any store that you. Anyway, those kids do shit that like outlives us, bro. It's so amazing. So when I see these kids, like the kid on Twitter with his mom with her titties out, and he's launching tokens on Solana, I'm just sitting here like, bro, like, first off, you doxed your face, doxed everything else, and now you're doxing your wallets. It's like, you're going to be a target for so many things. It just scares me. So I'm wondering, like, what are your thoughts on not just like privacy coins, but privacy tokens, or like NFTs using blockchains that have privacy, kind of in the peer view? Like, no, like you said, Wax earlier. You started this off with talking about Wax. Like, that was scary for me when I had like millions of dollars in Wax. People were like screenshotting me my own portfolio and telling me like, I know you have all this money, bro. Like, let me hold a couple bucks, or like, like, or like even like threatening or not threatening. It felt.
Or hey, you have
sometimes.
this like $10,000 NFT.
Let me have it.
Send me
Yeah.
one.
Yeah,
Send me one.
yeah,
You have
yeah,
10. You
yeah,
have 5
yeah.
of them. Yeah.
So it's like kind of like that. It's like, I'm just curious what your thoughts are, and like, where do you see like these privacy tokens and privacy based like NFTs on blockchains like Dash?
Yeah, I definitely like. So like, I definitely looked up your stuff on Wax like very briefly. I'm just like, how much did he actually sell? I'm like, God damn, this guy sold it like, wow. And I was just like, wow, that's cool. And that's it, because I'm not a jerk. I'm not, I'm not trying to have problems. But apparently there are some that are just like looking into that stuff. And I sold some NFTs on Wax and Polygon, but like, I didn't do them through the dexes. They ended up being peer to peer, because people knew me. Were like, hey, can you send me one? It wasn't like on purpose, but like that. Then like my sale volume was 0 forever, and people are like, oh, this loser, I'm not gonna buy his shit. And so that's like the opposite, where I'd like to keep that hidden so they wouldn't know if I was super successful.
I like that
But
a lot.
absolutely, like, we need to have a lot more privacy in tokens, and that's kind of because people don't use raw crypto that much, or they won't for a while. Like, there's only a few that people will just like raw dog it, as far as like, oh, I'm just gonna send some Bitcoin, I'm gonna send some Monero, I'm gonna send some Dash or whatever. Mostly people will use it to like who sends Solana to like Sol to each other? Oh, can I send you some Sol? As far as I know, not a lot of people. They send like, can I send you USDC on Sol? Can I send you this random NFT? Can I do
Bitcoin on Solana or something?
Yeah, it's whatever token they're sending, which is part of this whole thing that Circle was talking about in this blog post that I read a while back, was doing like a confidential ERC20 framework, which would basically just make balances of token transfers confidential, even if I could see who you interacted with. But beyond that, at some point, I do think that when this stuff doesn't matter that much, and because of that, no one cares about the privacy that it has. But now that it's like stable coins are like dollars in the bank. They're basically the new bank accounts. We're there already. Now that matters more, but then like NFTs are like the dumb monkey JPEG that like or the or that Hulk Hogan Ken Bozek one that I bought from you a while back. I like that one. I
That
really
was
like
by
that one.
Wooden Cyclops, I believe. Shout out to Wooden Cyclops.
Yeah. But so like that for me, it just matters personally for me because I'm like, oh, this is cool, and this guy made history with all his NFT stuff. I want to own a piece of that. That's it. But it doesn't matter on the grand scheme of things as far as like someone's not going to see that and give me trouble for it. But what happens when your NFT is your house title or your car title? What happens if it is your
Right.
literal like ID or your certification? Your college degree is an NFT in your wallet. What about all this
Yeah,
stuff?
my passport couldn't be an NFT if anybody could see it in my wallet.
Yeah.
Right.
So all
Yeah.
that stuff, like sometimes you don't want it all there because if there are these things that are valuable, someone could just like, jack you.
Yep.
Like so, for example,
Right.
let's just say you go to I don't know, like Colombia. Let's just say, like a country it's a great country, but maybe not as rich as some of the like Western Europe or the U.S. or something. You use USDC on Solana or USDT because it's the global south. They use Tether there. You send Tether on Solana or whatever to pay for your thing. And then the worker looks up and sees, oh, this guy has a US passport NFT. And then they know how to then like whack you so they can take that and then, impersonate it to then get out of the country, for example. That stuff starts to get really
Oh,
dicey.
damn.
So like you definitely need like public tokens and public NFTs are literally showcases. It's just like your jewelry, whatever stuff you want to be
Right.
showing everyone. But everything else needs to be locked down because if you get like for example, what if you go to like Tim Hortons all the time, for Canucks out there, and you get like a little membership card NFT that like rewards points things. Now everyone knows that about you, and then they can say, "Oh, this guy has this. He probably spends a lot of time in Canada. Therefore, if I want to impersonate a call and stuff, if I say some Canadian references, they might be like, oh yeah, I met you in Toronto last week, or last year." Then it's going to be like, if it's someone who's never been to Canada, it'll be like, hey, stupid scammer. But now you know
No,
something about
crypto's a
someone.
good tool
Yeah.
in the repertoire of a social engineer. If you're a
Oh,
social
absolutely.
engineer, having anything to do with crypto is it's great. It's
Yeah,
it's the
and it
cheat
could
code,
even
it's the
allow-
Game Shark.
Even allows you to like set people up, because we had a friend who had his lost all his board apes, lost everything in his wallet, and imagine if somebody had already known previously, like, hey, this guy has this in his wallet, he's gonna be at this conference, or he always goes to conferences, so I'm gonna catch him at the next conference, and then I'm gonna sweep his wallet. You know what I mean? I'm gonna get close to him, I'm gonna find him, talk to him, conversate, and then
Hey, double O, don't forget
just
to
be
lock
close
up,
enough
bro.
to take his shit. Because that's definitely in the future. People know, like you're saying, know what's in your wallet. Well, guess what? They probably know you have that on your phone, on your persons too, because most people don't put those NFTs in separate things, away from their phone. And you know what I mean? Like that
Yeah,
second
I
layer of
wish-
security. Don't have your phone on you that has all your shit in it.
Let me get something off the shelf real quick because it's actually a great tool for this.
Yeah, yeah.
I will say that I'm not a fan of privacy theater, sort of like security theater. I hate privacy theater more than I hate lack of privacy, like shitty VPNs or shitty VPNs
Yeah.
or what's the thing? Signal. I'm not a big fan of Signal because most people that use Signal, they have a third-party keyboard. Your third-party keyboard
Oh.
knows everything that you've ever said to anybody in Signal. They just don't know what
Yes.
they've responded back to you. But they know
Right.
everything
I mean,
you said.
That's why, again, I use a de-Googled graphene phone and all that kind of stuff. But the average person doesn't have that. But so this is from last year's consensus, right? Randomly at the end of the night, at like the last day, someone was like, "Hey, someone gave me this pass to get into all the after parties. Like, I don't want it. Do you want it?" I'm like, "Sure." And so I had it, and then like I never used it, but I kept it on the shelf because this is one of those this is like 10 grand is one of these
Yeah.
things, right?
Yeah, you gotta be a
Yeah.
piranha.
And so a lot of these conference passes are NFTs these days.
Right.
So if someone sees you got a Piranha Pass And if they can look at the timing that you got it, that you literally got it ahead of time, either you are rich or someone who's rich really likes you, kind of thing. And
Mm,
so, therefore, if someone can just you sign in with your MetaMask or whatever, and they're able to figure out that you got one of these, now it's like, okay, we can't rob everyone, but you could rob this guy for sure. And
right.
so that
Yep.
might need to be confidential. I have
Yeah,
no idea who
absolutely.
this guy actually is, but
Oh
whatever.
shit! He's
Yeah.
from Bullish though. We could find
Oh
him
yeah.
unless
Let's look at
unless
his
he's
name. No, I'm just
unless
kidding.
he got fired for losing that badge a while ago. You know?
Yeah, well, again, I didn't get it from him. I got it like
Right. Some third party.
so. He
Somebody
could
who
have been robbed.
found it.
He could have been robbed. You
That's
know?
what I was thinking. That's
Like the
10,000.
guy-
If I see a Piranha badge, I'm picking it up, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. I ain't
Yes.
gonna lie to you, bro. If I
Yeah.
see a Piranha badge at Consensus, I'm picking that shit right up. Putting it on. I'm like, I'm Dave. I hear Dave anywhere. I'm turning. Me?
Or it's even like an NFT NYC. Remember how like
Mm-hmm.
to pick up your passes, all you needed to do before was go and enter your name. They never checked anything else. You just went to the
I used
computer,
to do
typed
that
it
all
in.
the time, bro.
So if you if you looked in somebody's MetaMask and saw, oh, they have a pass, I know their name. I'm gonna beat them to the fucking ticket. You know what I'm saying? Now I got a product pass.
I did that
Yeah.
at Crypto Investment Summit in LA. Shout out to Elon Gorn. But the process to sign up for tickets were just like put in your name and you did it. So I got like 7 tickets just because I thought it was
Yeah, I
funny.
appreciate you, Ken. Everyone that NYC one.
Yeah, brutal. But yeah, so that's exactly it. Is like you want these things are valuable for a certain reason, and like, at some point I do think that, uh, and if like people will be using NFTs for, let's say, the title to your car. You'll buy your car on a Dex, and then the NFT possession will let you mint individual keys to turn on the car, but this is the master key, right? And so if someone goes and sees like, again, if they can extrapolate that information from you at the coffee shop or wherever, or you sign a little thing, or they see you post to social media, and then they look at that and look at the trace of which account did it, and they find that you have like the Ferrari NFT, and then they look in the yard, they might just like swipe your phone when it's on and just take off in your car, like
Yeah.
right there, just destroy all the other keys, mint some new ones, take it off, or even just do that and then just like take off and then leave the phone. Now the keys have got reminted, and now you're just like, wait, who gave this rando a key off my phone? It's like, oh, well, there you go. Just every little bit starts to like stack up to like problems. So
Right.
to answer that big question from like 30 minutes ago, yeah, tokens and stuff like that, that needs to be confidential too. That needs to be not just the amounts that you're sending, but like the whole thing, what you actually own. At some point, if this is going to matter, it's going to have to be private. And I think that might be something that's holding back. That's not holding back anyone from playing around with this stuff, but it is holding back from making crypto matter.
Right.
Well, how do we
Yeah.
prevent bad actors from taking advantage of all the good shit that we have built to better the world and make the quality of life more comfortable for everybody? When there are bad actors that take advantage of these, is there anything that we could do technologically, development-wise, self-censoring, self-regulation? Is there anything that is in hindsight when we think about like how good this tech is for bad people? Cheese pizza NFTs or something like that kind of really is like the worst case scenario, that fucked up conversation, but it does go that
Yeah.
way. And like having that privacy for criminals and dictators and just bad actors. Is there a way in which we could have privacy and have our cake and eat it too?
Yeah, I think we can. So first of all, I think that just like any technology, it's kind of like it's like kind of like going to a conference that's super exclusive and getting a giant stack of badges and just giving them out for free in the streets, just opening up to the people, flooding the market. You would know anything about that. But so, do all that kind of stuff. I think that keeps it like the powerful always have the upper hand. And the only way to make them not have the upper hand is make no one have the upper hand. So if they will always have privacy tech. Like I've always said about like money laundering is just what they call it when poor people try to get financial privacy. Just like if you try to like keep people from looking at your shit, they call that money laundering, you go to prison. But when the Pentagon loses a billion here, a billion there, whoops, it's like, nah, it's fine. So getting the tech out as much as possible. Like everyone should have access to space age privacy tech. And once they do, then it's like now the playing field's a lot more level. And then after that, also having the ability to have like transparency and things. Now you have to make some like the average person should never have to make the case of why they need, zero knowledge ZK snarks to buy their coffee. But I do think that the government should have to make the case of why they shouldn't post their proof of reserves for all their budgets. Or like what's the matter with the Pentagon saying we got this much budget? Now they have a public address that has all the money, and then when they go spend it on classified shit, then they encrypt those payments. It's like that's fine.
Right.
We don't need to see who they're paying, but we
Right.
do need to see how much money you have, so you're not like screwing us.
Yeah.
And at that point, like the one I think this is starting to come up a little bit more too because our Lord and Savior Michael Saylor, blessed be his name, has, the word of the Lord, thanks be to God. He has he got a lot of flack at the Bitcoin conference this year for like people started to turn on him, and I think that was the Saylor peak where now everyone loves him, and then now it's only down from here. When he came out and said, like, I'm not posting proof of reserves, and they're like, yo, like now
Yeah.
this is a little, and someone found it anyway. By the way, someone already looked on the blockchain and found where all his corns are. But the point is, at this point, if he doesn't post proof of reserves, he can claim to have more Bitcoin than he actually has, which is kind of like the government claiming to have more gold than they have backing the currency, and then eventually, like that's where it goes. And so you do want proof of reserves, and like so, for example, I know someone who worked on the Bitcoin program in El Salvador, and who personally convinced Bukele to put the proof of reserves out there. He was like, he wasn't going to do it, and he's like, no, I think it's a big deal. He's like, all right, so then he does it, and now we kind of have that metric where you can't cheat that part at least. And if we make that common knowledge practice, like every state, county, local, whatever government should have everything transparent. Like how much are you paying for all this? All that money should be transparent. And if it's not transparent, you don't know how much what they're actually doing, but you do know that they're not letting you know, right?
Yeah.
So like, hey, how come you don't have how come half of your budget you just got from Congress went into this like black hole? Like how come
Right.
it didn't all go into the transparent budget? What, and then they have to like justify it. Whereas if like a private person is like all their salary goes into the black hole, it's just like I don't want you in my business, and that's it. And you don't have to justify that. But we have to flood the market. And the other thing that is always going to be the mantra is this shit has to be usable, because
Right.
no one's going to use it if it's like no one's going to do a command line wallet to use this stuff,
Nah,
Yeah.
which
dude. Nah, dude.
yeah, which thankfully isn't that common anymore. Like it's not common that it's like required, but
Well,
there
if you
still
had to do
are
that
some.
shit to use the internet, people still wouldn't. I don't care how many cool
Right.
cat videos there are on the internet.
Yeah, keyboard cat would have never graced us with his presence. But so you get like even like the privacy tech is getting good now. It's not amazing yet, but it's getting good as far as the user experience is concerned. Where
Right.
you can download the Edge wallet, and you can have your Monero in there, and you can have your Zcash in there, and stuff like that, and it works. But still, if you haven't used it in a few weeks and you open it up right away, it might take a few minutes to sync. And it's like, okay, well, that's not the best experience, but like, you can't avoid it yet, but you will
Right.
in the future once the stuff gets usable. Or it's like when you restore a wallet from your recovery phrase, not every not every wallet knows how to look for all of the funds that are in that the set of private keys. Especially, it's harder if you have like an encrypted thing. Like if you just restore an encrypted thing like a Zcash wallet or something, it can take a lot longer, or they can miss funds. I have a lot of friends, unfortunately, who someone screwed up something in the past of some Zcash wallet implementation, to where now they haven't been able to figure out how to get all their money out of it, even though they have
Oh.
the backups. And it's not that it's all still in there. They just can't figure out how to find it. And it's like, okay, which consensus branch was it on at that point? What at this derivation path? What derivation path scheme does this wallet use for this? And what's the gap limit of addresses to search for? And then it's like a day and a half of syncing for each time you go
Yep.
digging for this. I mean, can you tell that I've done a little bit of this myself?
Yeah,
But
it
like,
sounds personal.
Yeah.
yes, there's a lot that still makes it really tricky. And so, like, here's something that people don't even know as a random aside. If you have a Trezor and you import that seed into a ledger, it might not see all your money
Oh.
because Trezor, every time you create a new account under, not just like, oh, it's your Bitcoin, your Dash, your Litecoin, your whatever, it's like if you create multiple accounts for that, that puts it in a new derivation path where now if you restore any other wallet, it'll not see that second path. And only Trezor products, or if you know how to like, you know what you're doing, you're super nerd, you know how to like go into the derivation paths, but otherwise it's just not compatible. It's like, whoops, where'd my money go? I don't know. I thought
It's so
this
private,
was
even
my-
you don't know you have it.
It's right
Yeah,
here.
exactly.
It's here somewhere in this space floating
Yeah.
around.
So that stuff has to work. And here's another one last example of like the usability problems for privacy. Again, obviously, I'm big into the privacy. And I think everyone should use it. But just being real, if I go to a merchant and I want to buy something with crypto, if it's a transparent blockchain, if I send it to them and it's like, oh, their point of sale app glitch and it says it didn't go through, and you're like, no, it did. You open up the Block Explorer and you're like, oh, look, this is on the Block Explorer. You can get the same link, the same thing. You can see you got it even if your merchant software is glitching. They're like, okay, that's fine. But if you send someone like Monero, you send it to them and they're just like, oh yeah, the app didn't say it went through. And like, no, it did. Let me show you on the Block Explorer. It just doesn't. What are they going to make of that? They can't tell. There's nothing there for them. And it's just like an extra thing of like complexity of how do you verify these things. And because at that point, you're not going to just trust me, bro, at that point. If you know the owner, they're there, they really like you, okay, fine. But like if it's like a week later, they don't know where to get it, how do we, it starts to get harder. So we're still a little early with the privacy tech. I think within 5 years, I think the next bull cycle is going to be all about privacy, I think. And I think that at that point, you're going to find any crypto that doesn't really have it. I mean, there's varying levels, but that just doesn't have that MVP, this minimum viable privacy. It's just not going to do super well.
Now, there are already, like you were saying, there's a lot of tokens out there that have no layers of privacy at all, whether it's intentional or just byproduct of ignorance. But do you think like something like Bitcoin, is there a possibility that that could be updated, to have, similar as like Dash, where it could run a little bit more of a private function to especially since it is becoming more involved with big government, they're introducing things to
Yeah,
mortgages
they're
and
gonna
stuff
want
like that.
privacy.
Like,
Hell yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Bitcoin's an interesting subject because, like, technologically, there's been like, in my opinion, almost no good news on the Bitcoin blockchain in like a decade. Like from the technological standpoint, from like the adoption standpoint, from the number going up, everything's been going really well.
Right.
And so I think if it's a terminal problem, people will do something. But it's just so. Do you know Paul Stortz, Truth Coin? He goes by on X. He's kind of a Bitcoin OG. He does this. He's been championing this thing called drive chains, which are merge mined Bitcoin side chains. So you could take basically like make like a Zcash version of Bitcoin. That's kind of the big one he talks about. That's just a side chain. You bridge it to this other chain. The same miners mine both chains and get the fees from both chains, and you can bridge Bitcoin back and forth. So you don't have to use like Zcash. If the value of Zcash goes down, you get to use the Bitcoin token value, and you can have privacy. And I think, obviously, I'm not like I'm not a huge fan of Bitcoin's technological roadmap or whatever. But if this got implemented, I think I would feel a lot more comfortable starting to
And it
use
looks like it's a
Bitcoin.
It's BIP 300.
BIP
I'm reading his
300.
tweet. Yeah, BIP
Yes.
300. I'm a big fan of BIPs. My favorite is 138. That's the one that lets you put a password on top of your private key. So you could actually generate a Dash private key and use that private key as an encryption on top of your Bitcoin private key. I love that about BIP 138. But BIPs are, and it says that it actually has nothing to do with the core code changes or anything. It works right now on testnet, it looks like. And yeah, sender, receiver, amount of the transactions are encrypted. Dude, this is awesome. Thank you for putting that
Yeah.
on my radar. But so what are your
There's-
thoughts on this though? Is this something that's going to be comparable to a Dash alternative, or do you think first come, first served to the, fucks given is Dash going to be that private? Because in my opinion, probably most likely it's privacy from Jump Street kind of vibes rather than privacy later down the line. So it inherently is more private. But what are your thoughts? Is this like something that could make Bitcoin, do what Dash does?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Technologically speaking, if everything, like if I was the CEO of Bitcoin, like again, like Mr. Sailor over there, if I was the CEO of Bitcoin and could just decide I could do what I want, this could be a serious technological challenger for a lot of things. The thing is, I'm super pessimistic that it would happen, and I know I disagree with Paul on this. He just thinks it takes time, but I don't think it's going to happen. There's too much politics involved. People are going to be like, oh, what if this, if that? I think my personal opinion is that Bitcoin is kind of what it will always be. You might see some tweaks to it. You might see some, like, for example, when quantum computing hits, they will have to change the cryptography behind, like, the private and public keys. And at some point, you're going to have to move your funds or get drained by a quantum attacker or whatever. There will have to be some major issues changed. But I don't think you're going to see a massive like capacity increase. I don't think you're going to see a massive on-chain privacy increase. I'm really pessimistic about all this stuff on the Bitcoin network layer. I think what it's going to be is, and I've actually said this, it's going to be the, let's just call them shitcoin L2s are going to save the day. Like every time like the Bitcoin maxis approve of a Bitcoin L2, it just sucks so bad. Whether it's like a Lightning thing or
Right.
whether it's like, what is it, BitVM or like, I mean, these people that worked really hard on all these things are gonna be mad at me for saying, I'm sorry, I don't mean to hurt you. You work really hard. But like all that stuff is just trash. But like if you get let's just say the Xano blockchain has like a Bitcoin token on there that's has Monero level privacy, but it's like a Bitcoin token. Okay, that'll be cool. Or a wrapped Bitcoin, like obviously wrapped the WBTC on like Ethereum is like a trusted kind of thing. There's another competitor called Threshold, which is not like it's trustless. They have like a threshold signature thing that does a wrapped Bitcoin. It's just like, okay, that can be on Solana or whatever. Now you get all the Solana bennies, but you get to send and receive like a Bitcoin value token. I think that's what's going to happen with Bitcoin. And Bitcoin will just be like, it's like the Rick and Morty, like speaking of which, right, the butter robot. It's like, what is my purpose? It's like, you bridged other chains. Oh my God. That's kind of going to be what the Bitcoin chain itself does, is just port Bitcoin's value to something else wherever all the fun's going to happen.
That's
Dude,
funny.
I
Yeah,
never
that's
thought
good.
about AI basically having to be the code at the back end. Like, yeah, you're right. Definitely, especially when it comes to like atomic swaps and stuff. That ingredient's going to be cool to see in development. Just having a little sauce of AI in the blockchain. Yeah, I want to play. I want to play with Bitcoin in 100 years and see what we're using.
Yeah,
Ooh-wee.
absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, since we're getting to the top of the hour, I guess if we want to throw out any last minute thoughts.
Yeah,
I think this has been a
existence is
very
pain. Existence
invigorating.
is pain.
Yes.
I mean, I think Bitcoin will definitely have its place, for collateralization and stuff, kind of like we said, transference of value. We'll see if the government, spins up their own privacy tokens in the future. But
I think I think Bitcoin's going to go private. It makes sense, but I don't think it will take away from anything that has already established itself as such.
Yeah, because like it's in this weird world where financial like inertia is so strong. Like Bitcoin's technological design choices didn't keep pushing it up and up and up. It has nothing to do with that. It's all just like, oh, people like it. They're going to push it to the top. It's going to be the first crypto that people get adopted by institutions. All that kind of inertia is what moves it up. There's always going to be, like, the best tech is never going to be winning out at that time. It will be winning out later down the road as, like, the circle of life, right? Let's play the song again. The circle, it just keeps on going. And so, I don't know, like, do we really think, the thing about technology that's so weird is how quickly we forget about the stuff. Like, it's not like stuff just falls apart in front of our eyes. It just like not everyone gets that great blockbuster send off where everyone's like, oh, remember when this, and there's all this nostalgia and people are like, look, the last one closed down. Or not everything gets that. Sometimes it just goes like, you just stop using it. Like do you remember zip disks? Do you remember
Yes, I do remember that.
It's just like everyone remembers floppy disks. No one remembers zip disks because like that was like going to be the future, and then it's just like, and everyone used them for a second, and then
I remember having a lot of clip art on that zip disk. It was like for graphic design shit. It was all clip art.
Yeah, and then do you remember like I mean, I guess people remember like the BlackBerry a little bit because people get
Obama.
nostalgic
That's
about
why. But Obama had a BlackBerry. That's why people still remember the BlackBerry.
Yeah, but there's a lot of stuff that's just going to be just not in your life anymore. Like, do you remember when people stopped using the Yellow Pages? Like, it didn't happen like that. Like, everyone was using it. Then they looked up stuff online, but there was still one in every hotel, and your grandpa
They're
still used
sending
it.
it to people at the houses and
Yeah, and then it
residences
just,
stuff,
and no one ever said, "Oh, Yellow Pages are dead. They're gone. NGMI." Like, no one ever just said any of that shit. They just like disappeared until you're just like, wait, what happened to that, dude? Did we used to have
printing
that?
the
I
pages.
think Yellow Pages are just for tough guys to show off how strong they are. That's what Yellow Pages exist for now.
That's
So I guess we
good.
could wrap this up. Shout out your socials and shit. Let people know where they can go to follow you, find you, and what communities you're in, websites, and all that. Shout it out.
Yeah, I'm all over the place. X/Twitter is where I'm most active, where I am the Desert Links, as you should be able to see on the screen, hopefully. And also, I do the occasional shit posting on the Dash account, which is at DashPay. So those are the two big things to follow. I have my own podcast called Digital Cash Network, where I put out like an interview a week and then do a live show. If either of you guys want to jump on my show anytime, just let me know. Obviously, let you guys in. And yeah, that just look that up too. But
yeah, I'd love to do that because I could show my club. So let's do it.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. It's live at 3 p.m. Eastern time, which is, I guess, noon Pacific time, every Friday. This Friday is July 4th. Now, are you guys going to be out of town for that? Because if not, if there's anyone who's not, like, with, at some pool party or something on July 4th.
I'll be here at work.
I'll be working, So I'll be for sure.
Well, one or both of you guys, I'm more than happy to come on this Friday.
Yeah, I'll be down for Friday because we're going to be having Roy White and a couple artists come out and paint the bus and do stuff for 4th of July, and I'll easily be able to do that at noon.
Yeah, noon Pacific.
Oh yeah, that's perfect. I'll be getting off work at 2. I'm in Central Time, so I'll be getting off around that time.
Yeah, I appreciate the invite, man. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And you get to bring your audience over to my shitty little show.
These groups of degenerates, they'll show up.
Yeah, but I mean, I've been doing it like 5 years or so it's not like I have had some like big people on the channel, even though it's a tiny channel still. But whatever, I do it for the love,
Right, it's awesome.
All right, much love, bro. Thank
Heck
you so
yeah,
much.
well,
You're
appreciate
literally
you so
our
much.
first guest back at it since a
this
few
was awesome.
conferences ago. We had to. Me and Mickey had a lot to focus on, especially me here at the club. Just I haven't been able to do any podcasts there, any interviews, anything. So thank you so much, bro. This is
life
Yeah,
goes on.
appreciate you getting you back out on here to talk about this and to talk about the privacy thing again. I think it's something that
Yeah.
you said it's a conversation that's going to be reintroduced, and I think Dash has been doing great, and we'll have its time in the light here soon for sure.
Absolutely.
And thank you and all of your community members in the chats. I see YouTube, Twitch, and X have commenters probably coming from your end. And just want to say thank you to people in the chat. I really do appreciate the engagement, the conversations happening on the side. I'm part of both worlds, so it's cool to see like the chat doing its thing and us doing our thing. But yeah, so go ahead and if you guys are watching this, please like, share, comment, tag somebody. I don't know, even your favorite person, least favorite person, tag them. If you didn't like this podcast for any reason, tag your least favorite person. Make them watch a podcast you didn't enjoy. If you did enjoy the podcast, tag somebody you love and maybe they'll enjoy it. You know what I'm saying?
Tag your favorite
see you
stripper.
at the
Why not?
BBCCK.
Hell yeah.
Yes, Bitcoin Bench Crypto
They need
Club.
privacy too.
Yeah.
Cool,
Yeah,
man.
privacy
This is
for
awesome.
all. All right, Miggy.
We out. We'll see you on the next one.
Have a day, everybody.
Have a day.
Hello, happy bros. Hey, you're about to get a face full of the Ken Bozak. He's a mentor. That's what I heard. He's a connector. Oh, yeah. He's a brilliant leader. I've seen it. He's Ken Bozak. Oh, happy bro. You gotta get some Bitcoin and hold it. Happy bros. You gotta get those NFTs and you gotta hodl that stuff. You gotta hodl it. 'Cause I'm Ken bro. We got your Bitcoin, bro. He's an original. Buy some NFTs and hold them. How many times does he have to tell you? Going to the moon. We're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. Going to the moon. We're going to the moon. We're gonna get real high. 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 Yeah, we're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. Bro, we're going to the moon. Oh yeah, we're going to the moon. We're gonna get real high. Real high. Yep. Real high. Hello, happy bros. Come get some Ken Bozak.